Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of the Slappin podcast. Today, we're not really discussing K-pop as we are discussing Asian dramas, something that we've all sort of started stumbling into. Me for the shortest time, but we are anxious to talk about some of our favorites. Today, we have Sammi and Kayla, as well as me, Dan.
Hello.
Hi.
So we thought we'd just share some of our favorite Asian dramas. We've got all sorts of a mix here, not just Korean. So we can go ahead and start.
The
Kayla.
diversity is coming mostly from Sammi.
Yeah.
Only from Sammi.
Only Sammi.
Yeah. Sammi likes to venture out to China and Thailand, and that's about it.
How long have you been listening and watching?
I started watching dramas really with K-dramas in like 2015, like right when I started listening to K-pop. I realized they also act, so let me watch that too.
Nice.
So I think I've also watched the most amount of dramas.
You definitely have.
Definitely watched
Yes.
the most amount of dramas between the three of us.
By far the
By
most
a
dramas.
lot, yes.
Kayla,
Yeah.
how long have you been watching?
I have been watching probably since early to mid 2016. I also don't watch them like that regularly. I have to like be in a mood to be able to sit there and like watch an entire K-drama. And it's usually just because what gets me back into it is someone says like, oh, this one's been doing really good, or I read news articles about how like high of a rating a certain show has, and if it sounds interesting I'll usually pick it up. And then after that point I'm like just in a mood to watch K-dramas all the time, so it's like very
Yeah.
on and off, but I've watched a decent amount.
Yeah, I just have given up on like any sort of Western television. So like this is sort of
Yeah, I
mine.
don't watch a lot
That
of
was
Western
kind of
television
mine
either.
This is
as
what I
well.
watch.
I just replaced.
Dan.
I got sick of it. I got sick of Western, and so I moved it. And this was only last year. So yeah, I've only started
Dan is our
watching last year.
Yeah, Dan
Yeah.
is like the K-drama baby.
I
of this
I
podcast.
haven't watched that many shows, but with considering every episode is like almost an hour long, I guess I've seen a lot. So it's
Yeah.
a good portion of how that goes, but still not quite on the
For
level
reference,
of
Dan has watched 8 K-dramas,
No.
and 5 of the 8 he's watched are on this list.
Yep.
He needed a top 5, and I've watched 148
So
according
yeah.
to my drama list. So
I'm a little bit below that. Yep.
a little, you'll
I'm
get
only
there.
at like 25 to 30, so yeah, Sammi is like by far seen the most K-dramas here.
Sammi, like, well, the other thing is also I've sort of in more recent times I've sort of, which is also partially why I think I've watched more different shows for countries of origin of these shows. Like I've sort of right now I'm watching way more mainland Chinese dramas than I'm watching Korean dramas, and
Yep.
I'm watching slightly more, and I've only gotten into Thai dramas in like end of last year. So like it's just I've just sort of like once you watch them for a really long time, you kind of just sort of venture out. And also I think K-dramas are getting really long.
They
Yep.
are.
like
They're so long.
They're
T-dramas,
pretty
while longer in episode number, shorter episodes. They're a tight 45 minutes. They can be 50 episodes, but a 45-minute episode, not an hour and a half, not an 80-minute episode like every episode of Crash Landing on
And I
You
think,
Like
yeah, I was
This
gonna
Year.
say, like, I do like that it's long because it gives, like, I like investing the time into, like, the world and whatnot, so that's why I enjoy it, and that's why I kind of, like, toned off from Western, because it felt so, like, next season bait. Like, it just kept, like, as soon as you get to a conclusion, a new mystery or whatever falls apart to, like, get people to keep watching. Whereas
I
the
hate
K-drama scene is just like, alright, we have a story, it's this long, and it has a beginning, middle, and end. And I like that. I'm like, oh, I know what I'm going to get. And if it comes with the season 2, sometimes, very rarely, then it's usually like sometime later has passed or whatever. So it's kind of nice that it isn't
Yeah.
always just a sequel bait.
The fact that I don't need to invest 7 years of my life into a show, great. I haven't even
Yeah,
watched, like,
invest that long and then have it get canceled randomly.
yeah, you know,
Because
I
I've
haven't
had that
watched-
happen.
Like the last Western show I watched the first season of Stranger Things, and I watched the second season of Stranger Things, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll watch the third season of this. Still haven't. It's been almost a year. Still haven't watched that show.
Game of Thrones was the last scripted Western show that I
Oh,
watched because the last
know-
season was just a big disappointment.
You want to know the last one I actually finished? It was Downton Abbey. Whenever
Oh.
that show ended. So, like, that's when the last time I finished a Western show. So
Yeah.
each of us has put on our top 5. Really, we each came up with 5. Some of us overlap, but we'll talk about it. Kayla, do you want to start?
Yes, so the first drama I have on my list is Descendants of the Sun. And this was actually the first K-drama that I had ever watched. And so Descendants of the Sun is a 2016 16-episode K-drama that stars Song Joong-ki and Sung Hye-kyo. And the entire plot of it is essentially it's a love story between a doctor and a soldier. And a lot of it deals with sort of like themes about war. Like half the drama takes place in, it's a fictional country, but it's like shot in between like sets in Korea and also Greece, and so the scenery there is really gorgeous. So like half of it's over there, and then half of it is, or it's probably less than half of it is in Korea, which is like general Korea.
The entire middle and most of the end, like they kind of is in
a good portion
general
of it is
Europe is in Korea. And all of the middle is in that weird vague European.
This like vague European like Middle Eastern like fake country. I forgot the name of it. Doesn't matter at all, really.
It doesn't, but it's like, you know.
Yeah.
And
so
I'm planning on, this is like, I'm literally watching the first episode tonight, is kind of what my plan was, so this is a drama that I've been wanting to watch.
It's the only drama that has like that got like really massive popularity that I think really lived up to the hype, and that's why I put it here. It is fantastic.
I also consider this to be my favorite romance show of all time. Like, this show is in my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's in my top 5, but Kayla,
it's in both of our top 5s.
It's in both of our top 5, so I think the romance also, like, they such good chemistry. I mean, the two actors ended up getting married, so, like...
In real life?
Yeah.
Oh,
they got divorced recently, but, like...
Now they're divorced.
Oh, okay, well, you've just ruined it. Well, sad. I mean,
highs and lows, Dan.
I was gonna say, like, you built enough chemistry to even get married. That does say something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's exciting. I'm excited. I like that.
Oh, Song Joong-ki is, I think, a really good actor. This, I think, is his, like, he embodies this role. Like, a lot of times when an actor tries to play a military role, I get the whole, it doesn't really work. You're kind of not that, like, soldier type. Even though, you know, every Korean man is a soldier.
He just got back from the military when he filmed this.
He did, and he was still like
recently.
Yeah. But like sometimes I don't think it works that well. So I think like soldier roles and doctor roles I think are very hard because they're two professions that like you have to have a certain vibe to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, it's weird. Trust me, I work in a hospital.
I've watched a lot of bad medical dramas.
Medical shows, like, they're sometimes so ridiculous. Also, no medical show will ever be in my top 10 because none of them are at all
unrealistic it is.
I don't have the time to make out with someone in a closet. I wish I did. I don't.
I'm pretty sure that was the plot line of Grey's Anatomy, so...
That's a plot line of every Grey's Anatomy episode. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about Grey's. Alright, so yeah.
Descendants of the Sun has also really compelling side characters as well. So you're invested, like, not only in the main couples, but they make really compelling storylines for a lot of the side characters, which is really nice.
If you like K-pop, Onu's in it.
Onu is in it. I love him in this drama.
He's so good.
He's so good.
Him and his romance.
Mm-hmm.
Did it help the group's popularity? Because I think that's what I hear a lot about.
I mean, SHINee was...
This did nothing for SHINee. Like,
no.
SHINee was fine.
SHINee was good.
I don't know how recent is it. Oh, 2016 it came out. Alright, so yeah, they're already good.
SHINee was fine.
I was like, I didn't know how early this was. No, SHINee was already established.
Yeah. SHINee was good.
SHINee didn't need the boost from Descendants of the Sun.
But I don't think it hurt.
I don't think it did.
Kim Min-suk is also, I love him. He's really good in this drama. This was a really big, like, breakout role for him, too, because he's just a side character, but he does a really good job. I think that a lot of this was just everyone sort of got, like, a breakout moment. Because, again, it's a 16-episode show, but I think they divided it between, like,
you have the main couple, and that main couple is the focal point, but you do have enough to have, like, you have a pretty substantial side couple, like, second couple.
Oh, yeah. The
Okay.
second lead couple is really good.
It's not one of those shows where, like, the second couple is pushed to the side, you don't see them for 10 episodes, and somehow in the end they're together. I'm like... And you're like, what's happening?
What happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
they have a clear through line.
Another thing that I really appreciate of this drama is that there's no, like, weird... Or at least there's less of, like, a second lead syndrome. It's like both of the two main couples are, like, very, like, separate from each other. And there isn't a lot of, like, the sort of, like, jealousy of, like, you're going after, like, more than one people at once. They're completely separate couples, and they're dealing with their own struggles at the whole time.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a love triangle.
Yeah.
Also, I'm someone
that
suffers from massive second lead syndrome, where I always like the second lead more.
I know, me too.
Almost without fail.
Same.
And this is not one of those shows. Song Joong-ki plays a fully realized character. He's not like it is sort of a love-hate relation. Like, it's sort of a hate-to-love relationship a little bit. But in a very realistic way, where it's like, yeah, you guys, we started off on the wrong foot, not I actually hate you.
Yeah, they just have a lot of, like, personal conflict things that they have with each other that they have to work through, but I think it's done in a really well, like, realistic way.
Okay. That's
sold
good.
Dan on it.
I was already sold before when you put it on the list. I was like, wow, 2 of you have it on the top list? All right, well, it's been on my, like, in the background that I've been wanting to watch it, so you guys still the deal for me, so thanks for giving me another 16 hours of content.
Yeah,
appreciate
at least it's only
that.
16 episodes. That's on the shorter side for a K-drama.
I can't complain.
And you can watch it on Viki if you have a Viki subscription, or Viki with ads if you don't. And apparently I learned it's on Hulu.
Dang, alright, well.
Even better.
Nice.
Even better.
Alright, Sammy, do you want to go on your first drama?
Yes, I do. We're going to talk about this for an hour.
Here it is.
So my first and my favorite drama is The Untamed. We're starting off right with mainland China. It's a 2019 50-episode Chinese fantasy drama starring Sao Zhan and Wang Yibo of the boy group Unique, if anybody cares.
We love Wang Yibo.
We do. We'll get to more about him, but we love him.
We stand
him on. He's coming around on him. Maybe one day Dan will watch The Untamed.
Maybe one day Dan will listen to Unique.
I listened to the one Unique song that you've given me, and that's it.
Which is Falling in Love, guys.
Yep, I do like that song. Every time I hear that, I'm just like, oh, there you go.
Yep. So this is a show, basically, it is a fantasy show about two... So it's based on a BL novel, but since it's China, they've entirely had to tone it down. There's absolutely no romance in this show. It is just a very close... They've turned into a very close friendship. I do still think they call each other soulmates, who essentially travel together, solve a series of mysteries, and it's sort of a story of... It's a 50-episode show. The synopsis really is very difficult to say, because you're dealing with a very long span of time.
Does it feel like is it like every episode continues on, or is it kind of like every episode goes on?
It is a... So the way the story is structured, and I don't think this is a spoiler, is that it is structured with a technically current plot line, one very long flashback, and then you pick back that explains what has happened in the past, about 16 years in the past, and then it starts again in the quote-unquote present.
Okay. Interesting.
So really, it's very difficult to sort of give you too much.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to spoil anything.
That's
I think
fine.
That The Untamed
I was just wondering if it was a
50
straight episode story or what.
No. So essentially it is about these two cultivators. They are sort of the connection with all of their side characters, and sort of the various villains, various forces that sort of come into play. And the problem is they're not one true villain. It sort of is how life is, which is just a series of conflicts that, like, one thing, then the consequence of that action leads to this, which the consequence of that action leads to that, and then sort of consequences upon consequences. And I love this show. I adore this show. It's my favorite drama by far. I fall in love with and the thing with a 50 episode show, this show, it was a sensation in China. This show aired and automatically turned the two stars into two of the biggest actors in China. Then, now, everything that they do is hotly anticipated. People want more from them because this show just sort of, you fall in love with these characters, you fall in love with the world that they're in, and it is a very large cast. Like, there is so many side characters, and each of them gets a storyline, and each of them gets time to shine. It's 50 episodes long. You have enough time to build and actually build a relationship with these people.
How long are each episodes? Are they like hour long?
45 minutes.
Okay.
They're 45 minutes for 50 episodes. So that's the thing with Chinese dramas. While they are longer, especially the fantasy shows on average will be into the 40s to the 50s. Some will even go into 60s number of episodes. They never are over an hour. And that's, I think, just for programming, blocking, and all that. They're about 45 minutes each.
I was surprised by how long the episodes were in K-dramas, because it seems like just a bizarre time. Because if they have to put, like, ads or something in there, it seems like it's, like...
It also seems
the timing is
wouldn't
weird.
it be better... Because a lot of them, like, even when an episode ends, I feel like you could end it before... And it would still make sense within the show, and you could have made, like, an extra 2 episodes, which, again, isn't that better for your advertisers to have more episodes if this show is popular?
I don't know what the magical 16 number is.
I don't know.
We'll talk about that later, because I do have some beef with that 16 episode limit.
I will also say, more to gush about the Untamed, cinematography is amazing. The one thing I will give C-dramas, because... recently, I think in a lot of recent years, and I have a full C-drama episode coming. Oh, is it coming? Eventually.
It's coming eventually.
Eventually. I've put it
It might not be here till next year, but...
I'm working on it, guys. Hopefully
by then you'll have, like, 30 more to watch.
No, Sammy's not allowed to put any more dramas onto that list.
I have a list, guys. I've made negative progress on that list because I keep adding to it. It's fine, though. It's fine. We're getting there. But I do think that you find... C-dramas, I think, have incredible cinematography. I mean, it's China. Their entertainment industry has money. They do
that was I was literally about to ask, what's the budget like? Does it, like, CGI and all that? Because I know it's a fantasy.
Again, the CGI, depending on the show you're looking at.
I'm talking specifically about the Untamed.
Oh, the Untamed doesn't have that much, like... It's so good, and, like, the CGI is sort of, it's minimal. They try to use as little CGI as they can, but there are fights. It is a fantasy show, and it's just so good. I just have good memories thinking about it. It's based on a BL novel, but, like, they've had to tone everything down for censorship, but you feel the chemistry. It's not a romantic it's not played as a romantic chemistry. You can read it as a romantic chemistry, and a lot of people have. But you can just read it as just an absolutely
bros going
friendship.
on an adventure.
In a way, they are bros going on an adventure, but it's so much more than that. Oh, God, I've described that show so poorly, and all the Untamed fans are going to come for me, but it's just like,
That's fine. We have a short time limit here.
We
could go an hour long.
So good. I could.
Yeah, we're gonna cut off Sammy on talking about the Untamed.
If other people want to watch the show, I will do a full episode on the Untamed. If someone else watches it, no one else has wanted to.
It's gonna be a 4-hour episode.
That's probably why I haven't watched it yet. Is for that reason only.
Also, the sets are amazing. The makeup's amazing. The wigs are incredible. Oh my God, the wigs.
The wigs.
The costumes. The swords.
The
music.
Your wig snatched too?
All the guys are wearing wigs, so like everyone in that show wears a wig.
Perfect.
And also the OST is great. And you can watch it literally anywhere. It is on Viki. It is on Netflix. It is for free right now on YouTube.
Dang.
Just go watch it. Finish this. Fuck it. Turn off this podcast right now and go watch The Untamed.
I haven't talked about any dramas yet. What are you talking about?
Look.
Alright.
Fine. Finish watching this episode. Or don't. And then go watch The Untamed. How about that?
Fair.
I'm the only
Sammy's
person
promoting The Untamed over our own podcast.
It deserves it. Honestly, that show is so big. That show became a phenomenon for a reason. It was one of the biggest shows of life. It has catapulted all of those people's careers. That he is more Wang
If
Yibo
you're
is
an
way more
extra on
famous
the
now
show.
than he ever imagined being with Unique. Oh god, the saga of Unique was a journey.
We
Guys, go-
can't get into that now.
Nope.
That's for another episode.
All right, Dan, talk about one of yours.
All right. Since I've only been watching for a short amount of time, I have a pretty small sample size, and you'll notice that we all have very different tastes when it comes to shows. Apparently, according to these two, my taste is boring, which I disagree.
It is.
Because,
It's pretty
all right,
boring.
All right, I like, according to like my drama stats, I really like the realistic business type shows. So the first one I'm gonna bring up, everyone should watch, and it's not because it's serious, but because it literally has a star-studded cast and a amazing story, and it's My Mister, starring IU and the rich father from Parasite. If you want more of that, so the chemistry, first off, is amazing. I think this was almost. I would say this is really my introduction to IU. I mean, I listened to a little bit. I didn't even know she was like as big as she was until after I kind of like started watching the show. It was kind of crazy because this is like one of the first ish ones that I started watching with, because I got really into the serious side of ones. Shows, and people are like, if you like serious shows, watch My Mister. And so I started it, and I immediately fell in love, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. So the main plot of the story is about a guy trying to like deal with, it's all about relationships, and that's kind of like where the My Mister aspect of it is. IU is a struggling young adult who's trying to just survive, and she's has a shady past, and she's trying to deal with a whole bunch of things, and she meets her mister, and he's just a nice guy, and she doesn't believe it because she's only been treated poorly her whole life, and this guy is genuinely just a good person that's trying to help her, and she doesn't believe it, and there's a whole lot of drama with that where she doesn't believe him, and she ends up just like, it's not like a romantic relationship, but she just like wants to protect him and his career and everything. I struggle to describe it because it's just got a whole lot of really emotional feelings about like your relationships with his family, because that's another huge side point, is that he is like the one successful, quote unquote, in his family, where his two like younger brother or one older brother and one younger brother are just like struggling to get by in life. They don't really have proper jobs, and they're just like bums living with their mom and stuff, and he's trying to like help them out, but also like not help them, struggle in not working well and trying to do that. So like they always talk about how they're getting like the wrong wrong cards in life or whatever. But yeah, the relationships between him and his brothers, and then him and IU, and how they try and like make it through life. I am trying to say this as best I can because I don't want to spoil anything, because it's really easy to spoil. And I want to just say, like, if you really are interested in just seeing like a real world relationship, because it's so like, it feels very realistic and just how the characters develop, and it's got a very great beginning, middle, and end, and that's something that I really like, because I'll get to later, but there's some shows that I feel like are either dragged out too long or are too short. This is perfect. It really does have amazing pacing. One of the strongest points I think it has is the soundtrack as well. It's probably got one of my favorite soundtracks that of all the shows that I've seen. It just encapsulates the feel of the show so well, of just a desperate like wanting to live and just trying to make it through life. It's really good, and it was really hard to just like watch one episode. I had to like watch one or two a night, because it was just like, I gotta know what happens. But it got me so curious, and that's how I describe it. It just makes you super curious. Like, you just feel like you're like diving into another person's life and just living how they live. And that's what I kind of like about shows. Like, you guys talk about how you like to watch shows to just jump into a different universe and stuff. I just like to jump into people's lives and just see how life is, and that's kind of how it goes, and it's really fun. I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. This is like a 10 out of 10. I kind of like hit the golden show. I don't think there'll be anything that'll come close to it. It's kind of like Sammy's Untamed. Like, it's just, I already watched the best show. I don't really know what else to do now. Everything else is just going to be a comparison. So, yeah.
I was going to be with Descendants of the Sun, too, because that was my first
Highly
ever
recommend
K-drama.
To put things into perspective, in Discord, you know how you can assign roles? They've assigned me a role literally called the Untamed Prophet.
You asked for that. You wanted that.
I did ask for it, and I love it.
You have to. Anytime
You all
it's
went
mentioned,
along with
talk about it. Yeah, I mean, I understand it, because anytime I bring it up, you always have to talk about it.
You.
So, yeah.
Anything related.
Neither of you have seen it. I don't think you'll enjoy it.
To watch
be honest,
it at any
I
point
don't
in
plan
time.
to watch it. I'm not a big, and this is my thing, I'm not a big fan of just super realistic shows because I honestly find them, one, very depressing because that's just real life.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
real life is
I'm very
depressing,
similar.
especially right now.
I tried to watch like an office drama once, and I couldn't get past like the first episode.
Nope.
I was like, this is just not.
I can
for
watch
me.
office comedies.
Mine was
I
an
can't
office
watch
comedy
office
too, and
dramas.
I couldn't get through it. It's just like not the type of thing that I find like engaging enough for in a show.
About what I can get through is I can do a What's Wrong with Secretary Kim. It's about what I can get to. Anything more serious than that, or anything more office related than that, nah.
Nah, I don't know. I just really like that genre for me. I don't know. It's such a weird
You
thing
like
to like.
reality.
I like reality.
You
I
do.
do. Like
We
when I
like to
You hate
escape
fantasy.
reality.
okay, I'll
You-
take
he
that
hates
'cause
fantasy.
I'm a huge video game player, and so that's kind of like where I go to if I want to have like that out of life experience where I can be a ninja or fly spaceships and stuff or ride a horse in a fantasy world. That's where I get that kind of like fulfillment, I guess. But when I want to watch shows, that's where I want like a different medium for, like when I read books, I want it to be like one, I don't know, it's interesting. It's like I don't watch shows to get that kind of rush per se. That's where I play the games where I can actually enjoy living out that way. Like I'm not gonna play a game or read a book where it's just talking about a guy going to work and like struggling with life relationships, like that's not engaging enough. But when it's a show,
Watch him do that.
I will watch him do it because it's interesting. Because in real life, I like watching people. I'm just a people watcher as well, just so like see people like my roommates or just see how they live their life. It's interesting how everyone goes through different steps. So this is just a cool way of making it way more interesting. So yeah, it's cool. I like people watching, and this is just it's super realistic and just how like people and relationships, how they're affected, and it's cool. I really and I use a great actress, and so is he, which is why he was in an academy in Parasite. So yeah,
spoilers for Parasite. Not gonna spoil Parasite.
No, not gonna spoil Parasite.
No, we can't.
Sorry.
I was about to.
That's a good show or movie. I'm sorry. It's definitely
if you want a good movie, watch watch Parasite if you're already in a depressed mood, guys.
Yeah.
If you're going through that mini quarantine depression, do not watch Parasite.
Yeah, it's probably not a good one to watch.
No.
All right,
Kayla,
that's
to the
my
exact
mister.
opposite
Probably
of
my 10 out of 10. I don't think anything come close to it. It's good, and I know you
all
guys
my
won't
shows
watch
are a
it.
10 out of 10.
Oh,
All
and
my
you
shows
can
are
watch
10
this on Viki. Just literally a few weeks ago, when I started watching it, there was literally nowhere you could watch it legally. I just was not available. It was just not available anywhere. It was super frustrating. I looked everywhere to see if I could buy it. I didn't matter. Like I didn't care. It just didn't exist. Finally, Viki got the rights a few weeks ago and translated it all. I think it's just finished, so you can watch it on Viki. Yay! And it's definitely worth it because it's
honestly,
great.
I also, if anybody has the cash, I would honestly, if you're actually into watching dramas, I would recommend a Viki subscription.
It's
because
I got it on a
can-
sale. They go on sale a lot.
Yeah.
It was like $30 for an entire year.
Yep. And honestly,
it was worth it. Like I
and
spent,
even
like,
if you're getting it on a regular time, it's about $100 for a full year. Netflix is like $13 a month.
Yeah.
So like and if you're really interested in dramas,
you're getting one show, you get like already your money back basically.
Yeah, you're getting you can watch most of the shows on this list, on our list. You can watch a lot of currently airing shows. You can watch just a lot of shows if you're actually interested in dramas.
Yep. All right.
Netflix is also getting a lot of them.
Yeah, Netflix is jumped on that train as well. So
yeah,
that's another place to go to watch. Mm-hmm. All right. Go ahead, Kayla. Give us another one.
So my next drama was also one that was on both Sammy and Mai's top 5, and that is Sky Castle. So Sky Castle follows several like very, very rich families. Mostly it follows the moms and the children of the families, and it sort of just goes into all of the crazy and like absolutely ridiculous things that the parents will do in order to like help their kids like succeed for their futures. And so it deals a lot with sort of the like really crazy amounts of like stress that the kids go under while they're being forced to like study all the time, and the stupid expensive tutors and everything that the parents will buy for these kids. And it also sort of deals with the different relationships and conflicts that the parents have with each other over like even sort of like the raising of their children, and like sort of the husbands and the wives fighting over stuff all the time. And yeah, one of the main parts is there's this like girl who gets involved with like all of the children. She's definitely not rich. She's like very much she's very poor. Comes from a very poor family, but she is one of like the smartest kids in her class, and so she sort of ends up getting inadvertently involved with all like the other rich families and everything. And so it sort of deals with conflict that arises from that too. I can't say really anything more, or else it's gonna spoil a lot of the drama. So
what you find is me and Kayla's dramas are all just like very like if we say more, no, we're gonna like spoil everything.
Yeah, the reason I watched this drama in the first place is, so number one, you may or may not know, SF9 is my favorite K-pop group, and Channy from SF9 is in this drama. Really? So that's the first reason I heard about it. I was like, oh, Channy's in drama, like I should watch it. But I didn't start watching it until like so many news articles started coming out about how this is like the best drama of the year, and like it's breaking all of these viewership records. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll watch it. And I watched it, and it is fantastic. I don't regret it in the slightest. It's so good. It's definitely my favorite of the melodramas that I've ever watched.
Oh yeah, it's the best melodrama. It's also not if you're going into it with the idol actor aspect in mind, it's not what you think it is not what you think it is.
Oh, absolutely not.
Do not go in there expecting like, oh, it's a comedy. It's not a comedy.
It is not a comedy.
It's funny. I laughed out loud at parts. But it is just that uncomfortable laugh that you have sometimes where things are so ridiculous.
There's like
you
the
can't
stupid,
help but laugh.
like ridiculous rich people antics that it's just these people are so
God,
stupid.
I love rich people. I love rich people in drama because it's just absolutely insane. You can do so much with a rich person in a drama. They can go absolutely crazy.
I've also reminded myself that I hate rich people, and so I started watching the show on these two recommendations.
You just hate rich people in dramas or
hate
in
rich
general?
people.
I hate both, actually.
Okay.
There you go. I said it. I'm sorry. If you're rich watching this podcast, feel free to give me all your money so you're not rich anymore, and then I'll like you.
And give all your money to Dan so you can gain his friendship.
Yep. That way you won't be rich anymore, and I will have gotten a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yep. You can buy my friendship. It works. I started watching it. I watched the first episode. I understand 100% why it's super popular. I just know that it's not really my thing. I get why it's all the hype. I think I can see it. The acting in it is strong. The core concept is strong as well. I just don't like rich people. That's pretty much it. I was just like,
That's Dan's main issue with the show.
It is, and it's the problem.
Those goddamn rich people.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's interesting to see how people can just act very differently when a lot of your, basic necessities are not really a thought of life, where it's just about other things.
Where essentially you have reached the top of your hierarchy of
all
needs.
Your
all of the other
physical
stuff is done.
human needs that you could ever worry about don't have to be worried about. So you just have to worry about other things. And in all the shows that I like, the really boring and mundane thing, it's all about the struggles of living through basic problems in life of like, oh, looks like I'm having a freaking water with coffee in it for dinner because that's all I can afford right now.
That's too real. I want mundane rich people problems.
So
exactly.
my thing is, I usually am not a fan of rich people dramas. I'm specifically not a big fan of like just like the girl with a bunch of rich people. Like that's not my favorite genre.
I have seen too many of those shows.
Yeah, it's because they all become the same after a while, and so they're not interesting anymore.
What, the fact that Airs and Boys Over Flowers are the exact same show? Yeah. I've said it. It's the exact same show.
But this is, I think, there's a lot more complexity to the family dynamics that happen.
You actually get family dynamics.
And it's also the fact
that distinct different families.
Yeah, and the fact that you're following the children, and sometimes they are like super just into like all of the ridiculous tutors and stuff that their parents are trying to get for them, and other times they're just like in complete conflict to it. And I think it's really interesting to see all the different sides of like what is happening in the family.
I mean, even just within the family, you have the family that has the twins, and both of them are just it's also.
I feel like if we talk about them anymore, it's a bad story.
No, but what I will say about that is one of my pet peeves is sometimes a lot of families will just have especially in these shows, the rich families are all the same. You have a good rich family, you have a bad rich family. That's how a lot of these shows end up going. You have the rich family with like the oppressive mom, and then you have like the good rich people that are like the example that rich people aren't so bad. This show has literally everything is a gray area in this show. Everyone is good, and everyone does terrible things.
Mm-hmm.
Both at the same time, and that's gray. They're all very gray.
And I think that's why it bothered me so much as well. Is because I didn't like that gray.
You want to just hate the rich people?
I just want to hate the rich people. But like I got like it, even taking their perspective into art. You're just like, okay, like I get it. I get why you're doing things, but like me not having anything to relate to them are just like, but does it really matter?
You not being like, someone that's trying to get into the Korean Ivy League.
Yeah. Exactly. I've never tried either. I don't know. I also I didn't like I hated the parenting as well. That was like the biggest thing as well. I was like already like, oh gosh.
I think you're supposed to love this. I don't think you're.
Oh no, you're not supposed to like it. That's why it's so interesting. You're not supposed to like that.
These are bad parents.
Oh, they're bad parents, and that was the like I was like I don't want to watch a show where it's just gonna make me frustrated. But the other thing with it is like for as much as the parents are terrible, which they are, you can tell at least with most of them it comes from a genuine place of affection for their children. Yeah, they want their children. That's what's something that rich people treat like I worked so hard to give you a good life, and I'm just like, but did you love me? Yeah, I loved you, so now you have a good life.
And that's
it's just a very different kind of showing a love. And I'm just like
it's a different kind of affection.
Yeah. So it's interesting.
In this show, it's portrayed very well because I think there's a lot of shows that have these type of parents, and I've seen a lot of those shows.
And that's what I think this show does well.
They don't portray the warmth. They only portray the sternness and the you're gonna get into this college. This show, I think, has that balance of
I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure that you're taken care of.
And also, the parents also have their struggles. It's not so much I worked so hard and now you have to suffer to get into this college. They're also doing these crazy tasks to try to get them in. They're bending over backwards, and I think that's that sort of dichotomy. And it shows the good and the bad of all that.
Social politics, I don't know, like just trying to try and wiggle your way to getting into the hierarchy, and that's what it's all about. Very, very good show. The acting, even from just like the pilot per se, it was enough to just see the and production as well was amazing. I mean, they're rich people; they have to look rich. They looked rich. Let me tell you, every single car, the budget, and all those cars and houses. Ooh. Gorgeous. And it's just to the point you're just like, how do people live like this? I'm like, do you really?
So my next show is called Hello Monster, It's a 2015 16-episode Korean drama. I don't think any of you have seen this show or
I have
heard
not.
of it.
I've heard of it,
So-
I just haven't seen it.
Essentially, it's actually my favorite suspense thriller mystery show. It just essentially follows this genius profiler. He returns to Korea, and he's still trying to figure out the mystery of his dad's murder and his brother's disappearance. So when he was a kid, his brother got essentially disappeared, and his dad was murdered. And now he's come back to Korea, and he's sort of working with this police task force to solve their mysteries, and they're sort of looking into, like, everyone, it's sort of this level of intrigue where, like, the police are working with him, but they're also investigating him. They want to know, they're aware of all of the circumstances, and there's also just the ever-present serial killer that they're all hunting down. And oh my god, this is, I don't want to say anymore because it's just an incredible mystery. I love the show is just presents this mystery to you. Slowly but surely you get more clues, you get more explanations, things continue to change and evolve. And honestly, it is a crime and mystery show where I did not find that many plot holes. And that's really where I was
That's surprising.
That's a surprise.
Very surprising.
And also, to add another idol actor onto this, Dio from EXO's in it, and he is terrifying. Have you ever
Dio
seen
is one of the best
Terrifying.
idol actors.
Oh, thank you.
Terrifying. Like, he plays... I don't want to tell you who
Spooky
he plays, but he plays a
Is he a
criminal.
big role? Or
No,
a small
he's not
role?
that much of a big role. He's sort of a supporting
Okay.
actor, but his scenes are extremely memorable, and he plays them so well. He is one of... Idol actors sometimes have a difficult time playing, like, more villainous roles or more, like, edgy roles.
Because they're supposed to be likable. That's literally their job.
Likable. Dio plays that character perfectly. He's so good. It's actually the reason I watched that show, because I'd seen a clip of him and someone was just posting like, hey, Dio in this show is just terrifying. And I watched the clip and I'm like, I need to watch this show. And I did, and it's incredible.
Cool.
It's so suspenseful. It's so good. It's actually on Viki. For a while, I had watched it on Viki, and then it became unavailable in my region. So, like, I was very sad.
Interesting.
But now it's back. It's
good.
so good.
Okay.
It's actually on Viki. It is titled "I Remember You."
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because all of
Titling
these
is
shows
weird.
You
There's
will
a lot of translations.
Titling is bad.
This
They
sounds like
Translations
a
go
drama
weird.
I would really enjoy, because I do watch a lot of the crime
Yeah,
mystery
according
dramas.
to your My Drama list, it is your number one is what? Murder?
Death.
Death.
Sorry. Her number one.
Death in
tag is
comedies.
death.
Death in
Death
comedies. Somehow that's
Apparently.
what my drama list
Yep.
tells me.
I
Yep.
like my businesses, apparently. Business dramas. Alright. Is that good?
I mean, I love that show. None of you have ever seen it.
I
so
haven't
like,
Yeah, I
watch it.
wish...
It's so good. It's a
Interesting.
very underrated show.
I want to get
Because it
into
came
more
out
of the Korean
around the same
mysteries.
time that a bunch of other bigger shows were coming out. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it kind of got buried, but it's so good.
That's one I'll put on my list, I think, definitely to watch, because I feel like it's definitely a drama that I think I would enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Dan, talk about your boring shows now.
The next drama I wanted to talk about is one of the second drama that I started watching. It's a Netflix exclusive. It's Something in the Rain. And it's probably got some of the most polarizing reviews out there. And I agree wholeheartely with it. I loved it, and I hated it at the same time. And it made the list just because it made me feel so much. I can't describe if it was anger, frustration, or just genuine love for it. So it stars what's his name? Jung Hae-in. Can't say
Yes,
his name.
that's him.
Yeah, he's been on a lot, and he's a really likable dude, and he's likable in the show, and that's why it's really entertaining. The main plot is between a younger guy and an older woman, and the guy and girl shouldn't be together, but they like each other. So what's gonna happen? Oh wait, they end up together at the end. Spoilers. It's kind of obvious. I'm sorry.
It's
But-
a K-drama.
It's a K-drama. The problem with the show is that it's too long. They have to cause unnecessary middle ground where they just ooh, drama that's unnecessary, but it's so realistic. That's what makes it so entertaining and so enjoyable to watch as well, is because it seems like something a relationship like this would suffer from. Like, it's just like, I don't know how to express my emotions properly, and it's like all of that kind of stuff, and then trying to tell everyone that they want to be a couple and stuff. It's just so cute and stuff, and it really builds well, and like how they have to deal with their family and friends. That's kind of like the main gist of it. It's got a decent soundtrack. It uses a lot of the same songs a lot, which is fine because I think they fit the theme of the show pretty good. It's got a lot of theming. It's a very romantic relationship that's super realistic. It seems overly realistic to the point where it can get like uncomfortable in the sense that you just feel like a lot of people describe it as like, I'm just peeping through like a door
you feel
keyhole.
Like you shouldn't be there.
Exactly.
Feel like you shouldn't be there.
Which is why it was so intriguing and super interesting. A lot of people are saying, is this cute or is it cringy? I don't know. It's I love it, but I also hate it.
Why not both?
Why not both? I don't know. The two leads are very strong, and that's, I think the chemistry between the two is probably the best I've seen from the romantic shows that I have watched. It just seems so genuine and realistic that it really sells. Like, you have to have a strong couple in your romantic drama, otherwise it's not gonna be good. But it was adorable, and it really felt like they really fell in love, and they were just like really fighting to be together, and they had to suffer from like real life problems a lot in a relationship where they're not really, according to culture, not to be together. But it was cute. Highly recommend it, but I also highly recommend hating it. Watch at your own risk.
That's the most like you can't even.
I don't know. It really is like that. And if you look at reviews, you'll see 10s and you'll see 4s. That's really the show in a nutshell. So I can't really rate it. So
watch at your own risk. Yeah.
If you want to watch,
it's too real.
It's very real.
Even from the way you're describing it, it's too real. Like, I want, if we're doing a romance between an older woman and a younger man, I need some levity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so okay. I'll finish off with one scene, and it's a short scene, but it perfectly describes the show. The scene is there's a guy, and he's like, hey, I'll come. Do you want a ride to work or whatever? And she's already halfway outside the parking lot, and she's like, oh yeah, I haven't left my apartment yet. I'll be right down. And so she quickly backs up her car and back into the parking lot, and is like fixing her face and her makeup, and tries to get out of the car to go run up to her apartment. But guess who's watching the entire time? He is. He's just watching the whole thing. And then he anxious. It just
so cringy.
It's so cringy, but you're just like, oh, that's so realistic. That's exactly how that would have turned out. And he watches it, and he's just like, hi. And she's just like, oh, don't make fun of me.
Oh, God.
It's
that's so cringy.
It's cringy. It's cute.
So, everybody, if that sounds like your cup of tea, watch Something in the Rain. Am I right?
Yep, that's what it's called. Yeah. It was pretty cute. I had to pause after that. I'm just like, that's so adorable, but also, oh my gosh.
It would take me like 5 years to watch one episode, just pausing and just cringing. And
like getting over the cringe.
And then I'll come back tomorrow and watch a little bit more and be like, next cringe scene. I'm like, I'm out.
Like, oh, I can't.
It'd take me 5 years to watch an episode.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It was pretty realistic.
Oh, God.
Next.
Kayla,
drama.
Next one of yours is actually another one I really like.
Yes, so my next drama is Strong Woman Do Bong Soon, and so this is by far the favorite rom-com that I've watched in terms of K-dramas, and I think because it's not your typical rom-com at all, as the title would imply. So It's about this girl, and she has superhuman strength. It's like a genetic thing that was passed down through all of the women in her family in the past. And so because she is super strong,
So
she
you're
ends up...
saying it's a strong female lead?
It is legitimately
Yeah,
a strong female lead.
She's a literal strong
legitimately
female lead.
strong female lead.
Literal strong female lead. Gotcha.
In all forms
In
of
all
that
senses of the word,
phrase.
strong.
Strong.
I was about to say it's pretty much just like, okay, guys, we're gonna make a new show. Let's try
Strong
and pick one
female.
with a strong female lead. Oh, okay.
Yes. So
Sorry.
because
They went
she
with-
has this super strength, she gets hired as the bodyguard for this like really rich, young, hot CEO of a gaming company. Because we
Who's
need
just
a
the
hot, rich, young
sweetest?
CEO, of course.
Hot, rich, young CEOs.
We need one of those. It's a K-drama staple. But he
Those
was
CEOs at like age 25. That
Yeah.
super realistic CEOs.
totally
at 25.
realistic. So he hires her as a bodyguard because he's been getting these anonymous threats and is afraid for his own safety. And from there,
Rightfully so.
it sort of just follows the two of them, their like work relationship and everything. And she she wants to work at that company because she wants to be like a game designer at some point in her life. So she's seeing it as like a stepping stone to eventually get more into like the gaming design aspect. There's also like a weird, it's not really a side story because it becomes a part of the main plot, but her childhood best friend works as like a police officer, and there's like a case of like serial kidnapping happening in the city they live in that's also sort of pretty well entangled into like the whole main plot of everything else too, which makes it very interesting. Yes, I love it. I think it's so funny. I will say though, there is a couple of side characters I can
Don't
see
need to
can
be
get
there.
very annoying if they're not
Yeah.
your cup
Okay.
of tea. There's a handful of side characters that you can absolutely hate in this
The,
drama.
the ladies.
There's
one-
there's that one guy who plays there's a guy who plays multiple roles. If
Yep.
you hate him, you're not gonna like
You're
the
gonna
drama
hate
because he's
multiple
in there
of
a
his
lot.
characters.
He keeps showing
But
up.
like for the most part, in my mind he never got too annoying.
Yeah.
There were certain parts of it that were a little bit annoying, but I think
I think
the
that's
romance
his
is just
character
super
is
sweet.
designed to be annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. She's very independent and she wants to deal with her own problems as much as she can without having to bother like the other people in her life. Which I think it's like that can get kind of insufferable at times, but like it makes sense for her because she literally has like super strength, so she can deal with a lot of her own problems by herself.
The fun thing with that is also I kind of love that the show makes no qualms about it and just she is superhuman strong.
I was about to
and
say,
doesn't
is it
really
just like, oh, by the
explain.
way, she's
It's
just super strong?
It's genetic.
Yeah.
That's the explanation you get, and that's the
Interesting.
explanation you're going to be okay with. And I don't need more. I don't need this long, complicated explanation of where her supernatural powers came from.
I was like, is this just like, what is strong, by the way? Are we talking like lifting buses?
Yes, she
Yeah.
can like she
Okay.
literally stops like a school bus, like
She stopped
in,
the school
like,
bus. She
one
like,
of the first
through that
scenes.
all I remember is this construction site scene where she like walks through a construction site.
She actually
she,
she like accidentally like can break people's legs if like she's
Yeah.
not careful, like just
Oh,
by like
snap.
shaking her
Like
hand
a
like
comic.
she
Did
can
she
crush someone's whole
accidentally
hand.
like crush like her love interest's hand when they're holding hands or something like that?
She can.
She could. Like that's like
Okay.
Could.
she is like we're talking like real strong, and it's almost to the point where she doesn't know how to control it that well. So like really basic like daily like
She isn't-
activities tasks that like it can just show up.
She is a caring person who kind of
Yeah.
knows that this is her power
Okay.
and
She
kind
isn't
of gets it.
dumb
She
with
sort of
it.
views it as more of like a curse because she
Yeah.
knows
Okay.
that she has this power and she wants to use it to the best of her ability to like help other people, but at the
people.
same time there's life situations where she's like I really just wish I was normal and like
Normal
this didn't
and, like,
exist.
Could have like
Yeah.
because she
Gotcha.
knows it's
Because
like
she feels like a really like strong sense of responsibility to just help other people because she's had this her whole life.
and she
Okay.
can help, and that's sort of the family philosophy about the power.
That works.
It's a good show.
I love
Highly
it.
recommend.
It's very it's very funny. It can be very
It's very
serious
funny.
at times, but it's very funny for the most
For
part.
the most part, it's funny.
Yeah.
Up next, we have my third show is Go Go Squid. Yes, that name. It is a 2019 41 episode Chinese drama
Chinese
So-
drama. Surprise there.
starring Yang Zi and Li Xian. So this is essentially a adorable romance between a singer who develops a crush on a guy. Turns out he happens to be a genius in the field of computer engineering and a legend in the world of professional gaming, and now coaches an esports team. As a lot of you may know, I don't really understand that much about video games, much less esports.
Yet
I cut that out of the
we've had
Genius
2 of
episode where
them.
you talked about never having played a video game.
Yeah. So, like, why would I like this show? It's just the sweetest little romance I've ever seen. Like, I love the characters in this show. Like, she is adorable. Our main male lead is just, he's stern, but has these, from the beginning, he's stern and that super cold, standoffish type character, but from the first episode, you're seeing these moments of sweetness and of caring. It's not like the flip halfway through where he suddenly becomes sweet. He always was sweet. You just need to break the cold exterior. And, like,
Gotcha.
all of the kids, all of, like, the little esports players, gamers,
The little esports players.
You go
Help.
on if it's fine, you got it. I got it. It's
are
fine.
just the sweetest boys. Like, they're just, like, they're young.
Dorks. They're dorks.
They're dorks.
It's fine.
They're just
I can say that.
adorable
I'm one of
dorks.
them.
Dan plays esports. We know.
Dan plays esports. Yep.
I don't
me.
know. I
Esports
can't.
legend Dan.
Listen,
Dan plays video games. Dan is a fan of esports.
There you go.
can
I
we
got
give a
you.
shout out
It-
to Gang
I
Your
think
Heart
I
right now?
So we also
Oh,
have to
yeah.
shout out the fact that we're also all 3 of us together watching Gank Your Heart, which is another show that is very similar.
Dan has
And
to
we're-
teach us about
And
esports.
Dan
I
is
have to
teaching us
teach
about
esports.
esports using Gank Your Heart.
Yep. I'm enjoying it wholeheartedly.
I love it.
We all
it's-
love that show.
We don't have to take it seriously. I know that from the esports side of things, it's not 100% accurate. It's a very romanticized version of it, because that's what a lot of people see it as. In reality, it is a cold-blooded, cold-hearted
Sorry.
cesspool of corruption and fake sponsorships and money issues and broken promises, and it's awful. But the romantic side of things, where everyone's just enjoying doing what they love together, and that's kind of what the show is. And I'm based off what you're saying here, I think this show is also
this
Go
show.
Ghost Good.
Only
It's just
the-
like a lot of people just doing what they love, and everyone's friends and happy about it. And that's kind of what the dream of esports is. So, yeah, I think that's a great thing. I love that. So more of that,
Yeah.
please. Thank you.
This also has the added benefit of it's very much friendship based. Like, you have these current esports teams, you have his old esports team, our main male lead. You have the fact that she knows nothing about anything about video games,
Perfect.
so like she's your
Women,
throughway.
alright?
Oh no, there's women that actually play the games as well. So like it is weirdly co-ed esports. Okay.
Oh, okay. I like this. I like
There's
this.
there's one woman
Oh, okay.
who played esports
Well,
and now coaches.
A women.
I mean,
A
a
woman.
woman. Token
woman.
female.
Yep.
Bunch of nerds.
But like it's a very like the show, like even with the rivals, like there's that like there's not so much a just cruel animosity.
There's not a Jeffrey.
There's not a Jeffrey. And when we do a
Okay.
Gank Your Heart episode, you'll understand who Jeffrey is.
Or Trevor. We might call him
Trevor,
Trevor by
Jeffrey,
accident.
whatever.
Trevor, Jeffrey, whatever, same person. So you can watch the show on Viki, and if you speak Chinese, you can watch it on YouTube, but there's no English subs.
Alright. Good to know. Brush up on my Chinese.
Brush
I
up
spent
on your
an
Chinese
entire
and
year
go.
in high school learning and remember nothing.
Dan can't even help me with the pronunciation of actual Chinese. No one here can help me with
nope.
the pronunciation
Nope.
of Chinese. Dan?
Your turn
Alright.
again.
My turn. Alright. So the next drama I'm going to bring up, another boring one, so as my
This
fellow
one I actually have an
K-pop...
interest in watching.
This one is a good one. It's Just Between Lovers is the English translation. It goes by many other things. I know it I don't think that's the right title. They go as it's also
Oh,
not
I
Rain
saw
or
it,
Shine.
Rain or Shine, yeah.
That's the one
Yeah,
that
Rain
a
or
lot of
Shine.
people call it. I don't know where they came up with this name. But it's on
Because
it's
every
on
K-drama needs to have the word love somewhere in it.
yeah, apparently. Yeah, it has to have lovers, otherwise people don't know what it is.
People don't know it's a romance.
There you go. So you can watch it on Viki, and I hear it's also on Hulu, so that's nice. More options is always good. The main plot of the show. Oh, first off, big star. We got Junho from 2PM. That was nice. He does great. I think he was actually the selling point of the show. I think he's actually one of the strongest actors there. He plays his role really well, and he's a good looking dude. So what's not to love? He's also a cool dude in this show. So that also helps. So the main plot of the show is about a accident. It's about an accident between our two main protagonists that they suffered at when they were really young. And this is about a huge trauma in their life where they each lost something, and it was a huge struggle. And so now they're both older, and their lives, shockingly, they meet up. And they didn't know each other was in such a trauma, but they are trying to rebuild this massive mall that was the cause of such trauma. Is that they built this mall and it wasn't built the right way due to corruption, and it broke down, killing a whole bunch of people and them getting injured and being stuck in the collapsed mall where they suffer from PTSD even to like 15 years later. So it's a big struggle, and so it deals with how to deal with trauma, especially with loss of family and stuff like that. So it becomes very realistic in that aspect. It's not a happy drama, but there is a lot of joy in it, and it's the joy of working through tough times. And I think that's why I enjoyed it so much, because it's all about your suffering, but life still goes on, so you have to keep moving forward and to embrace a new life and embrace the future. And they sort of help each other out along the way, dealing with different elements of it. So it's very, very, very special. It's very quaint, and just a humble love, and that blossoms through what would be a horrible event. So I highly recommend it. I think this one you'll find joy in it. It's got a pretty strong cat. Junho is by far like the best of the crew. I think he is the most likable, and he plays his role really well. So I think he was probably my favorite part of the show. But it is sad. It has got a few big sad moments where you're just like, oh well.
Yeah, this is actually a show that's been on my radar to watch for a while. I just feel like I need to be in a specific mood and place in my life to watch it. Like, I don't think that this is just this feels like a show that you need to be in an okay place. I feel this could seem very sad.
If you're in I do like that. Like it was helpful to be in the mood to watch it, which is why I chose to watch it as well. But it is very encouraging. So if you are going through a hard time, it isn't like a bad time to watch it. I'd say it's a good time to watch it, because it's about like moving on even when it's hard, and how to like help your family and help others along the way, where you're focusing on not just your own problems but moving on. And that's something that's so cool about the leads, is that they don't push the trauma isn't what controls them. They're just like they're affected by it, but they're not always going around talking about it like, ugh, you don't know what I've suffered. And that's why I like it so much, is that I don't know what the story behind like who wrote it or whatever, but you could tell that there was definitely someone who understood what it was like to deal with something. So that was cool. It was written really well. He does sing. I think I want to say the end credit song. He sings it.
Oh, yay.
And it's a good song. I've listened to it quite a bit, so he's got a great voice, and he's a better ballad singer than he was ever.
Don't insult 2 p.m.
I'm not insulting 2 p.m., but I'm just saying he's got good vocals. He needs to use them.
Ad Toy is the sexiest
oh, it
song
is.
in all of
It
K-pop.
is. It is. I don't doubt that, and he has some great lines in there where I think it kind of reflects that. So, highly recommend that one. Again, it's on Viki and Hulu. I watched it on Viki subscription. Highly worth it. I already got my money's worth back. So yeah, Just Between Lovers or Rain or Shine, really good, dealing with trauma, how to move on. It's sad but encouraging, and how to break free of living in the trauma. So really good drama. Highly recommend it. And a cute romance, because story's not complete without a romance.
It's not a K-drama if it doesn't have a romance.
If there's not some romance in it, yep.
Someone's gotta fall in love.
Alright. Kayla.
Alright. So, my next K-drama is Tunnel. And so this is one of these time travel crime dramas. Because it's bizarre that that's a trope in K-drama, but it is. It is a subgenre. So the way that Tunnel works is, so there's a detective in 1986 who is pursuing leads in this serial killer case, and then he runs down a tunnel, and suddenly he's 30 years in the future in 2016. Yes, the tunnel in the title. And so now he's in 2016.
And so this, is it like his future or a different future?
It is the same. It's like the same future. So it's just
a future where he's
same,
already solved the case, lol.
It's the same city he lives in. It's just 30 years in the future now. Yeah.
Oh, good
and
Lord.
so when he's in the future, he meets his he goes to the police station where he works, obviously, and there's a person missing who has his exact name. So he's sort of able to take over his identity as a police officer,
because no one has ever seen him, apparently.
No one hasn't seen him, and so he's just sort of at his same place he used to work, but it's obviously got new people and whatever in it now. One of his partners he used to work with is actually still there, but he's old now. But
does he recognize him?
So that's the thing, is he's able to recognize him, and that's sort of how he's able to work his way in there and not get just thrown out for being a psychopath, is that someone actually recognizes that is him in the future. But it turns out that pretty shortly after he starts working there, is that the same or similar types of serial killings start happening then that were happening back in the past when he was
so he has to
researching them there.
solve two different cases that are
It's the same case.
It's the same person.
It's the same case, but now it's because he was searching for him in the past and then didn't catch him because he ran through the tunnel and is now 30 years in the future.
Oh,
that
so does he
person
not go
is
back
still
in time?
out there. So there's this tunnel, the way it's used is that sometimes when he runs through the tunnel, he can go back in time, sometimes he can't. It's just...
I just want to see, is there a 20-minute scene where it's just him running back
and
forth?
It is. There is a scene of him running down this tunnel, constantly trying to get back to the past, and it's just not working.
Oh my god.
And it's only at the most inconvenient times possible that the
Of
tunnel
course,
will
why would it
transport
work?
him
The tunnel
back
has
and forth.
dramatic irony.
It's a tunnel, not just a teleport button. Come on.
Exactly. And so the reason I like this so much is I feel despite the incredibly stupid time travel aspect of this drama, I think it ties up the ending really well, to the point where there's I don't think there's any loose ends in the story and what happens. I think they
really
do the best job in tying up the story, and it's really compelling. I think the entire story of this man who is essentially pursuing the same person 30 years in the past and then 30 the same time 30 years in the future. They do a really good job.
Is there a scene where he has to try to figure out a cell phone?
There is, because that has to happen. Because he's
feel
from
like I could
whatever,
guess.
1986.
Yeah, I feel like we can, if me and Dan just sat here and guessed, we could probably guess like 10 scenes.
All
that are
of
in
the
this show.
tropes from this.
Yep.
Because so the
It's
other
still time travel
Signal
stuff.
is a close second for my favorite crime drama, which deals with a very, very similar concept where there isn't actually any like physical time traveling in it, but he like has this phone that he can use to talk to someone who's like several like 20 something years in the past or something like that. But this one I like this more because I think it wraps up the entire plot better. I know people were upset because they never gave any logical explanation to the time travel aspect, but like
You don't
it
need
doesn't
one.
need that. You
Like,
don't
who
need
cares?
that.
It's a time. You just
Like
it's just a
it's
fact.
fine.
Of it.
It's just a factor
I think it would be
of the whole
worse off
story.
if they explain it.
Exactly. Like I would have hated this drama if they tried to put a realistic explanation on the time travel. Like it's just an aspect they use to tell the story. I really enjoy it. I think it does a really good
Try
job.
to have a realistic explanation for it. It would take the entire
It'll just
show
end
to
up be
explain it.
Yeah,
it just makes it
wouldn't make
automatically
it good.
bad.
Yep.
Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fact of that's just the. I like that. I like that they don't explain it. I think that makes me want to watch it more, just because they just like it's just a fact. Deal with it.
I've watched a lot of these crime dramas, and every single crime drama deals with a serial killer because that's how Korean crime
how all of
dramas
this
are.
works.
And a
It's
lot of
interesting.
them blend together in my head because they're so similar. And Tunnel was one of the ones where I distinctly remember the entire plot of it, and I think that's the reason I put it in like my top. It's like my favorite crime drama is because it was so distinct.
I have
and I
a
think
similar
that
thing
it ended
with Hello
so
Monster.
well.
Yeah, I think I have a thing with Hello Monster, which is why it's on mine.
I haven't jumped on the whole crime drama stuff. I think it's because I've watched so much Western crime stuff that I'm kind of sick of the whole crime thing. I'm like, I don't really want to watch people die.
What you want to watch is you want to watch the Korean remake of Criminal Minds.
You do not want to watch the Korean remake of Criminal Minds. As someone who watched a good, like,
I watched
most of the seasons of Criminal Minds, you don't need to watch the Korean remake of Criminal Minds.
It's exactly
Criminal Minds, and do not watch the Korean remake of Suits.
the Korean remake of Criminal Minds is exactly the same as
the
regular
same
Criminal
show.
Minds. It is exactly the same.
And it's the same, and also Suits, same thing.
It's just the same.
I watched it because of
Same
Lee
show.
Joon-gi. That is the only reason I watched Korean
I watched
Criminal
maybe
Minds.
an episodes, and then I stopped. I'm like, I've watched a good 8 seasons of actual Criminal Minds. I don't need a season of Korean Criminal
Yeah.
Minds.
I've seen so much Western crime shows that I'm done with the whole crime thing. I'm like, I'm just gonna watch my boring melodramas. Thank you.
I just need romance, guys. There's a romance. We're gonna get it. Speaking of romance,
Speaking of romance,
we're gonna take a journey to another country. We're going to Thailand now for Tharn Type the series, a 2019 12-episode BL Thai series. So it's gay, guys. It is hella gay. This is also not a show. Warning, 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 warning. Do not watch the show with your parents. This show is 18 plus. Kayla can attest that this show is 18 plus.
Indeed.
There's no actual anything, but it's also not a show. It's just, heavily implied. So it's about
Which
two
is
college...
sometimes your imagination goes worse.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yep. So it's about 2 college students named Tharn and Type. That's
Such
the title.
beautiful names.
Tharn Type. Thailand has nicknames. That's not their actual names, but they all go by nicknames. So Type is homophobic due to past trauma, and it's all about him learning and falling in love with his gay roommate. And all of the drama that comes from it. And that show is just edge of your seat compelling. Chemistry through the roof, off the wall. You could cut it with a knife. Palpable chemistry. You know that, Kayla, you know the scene with the ice?
Oh, this was that?
This show. This is that show. So if you've
Oh,
seen
dear.
that show, the scene with the ice.
Sammi likes to send a bunch of Tumblr posts from the
From the
random
various...
Thai BL dramas.
Woo! The ice was interesting. But honestly, it's probably some of the best chemistry I've ever seen in either a straight show or a BL show. Like that, their chemistry is just absolutely amazing. Like that show was so good that they just greenlit a season 2, where I think they're gonna get married. So exciting. But like, and it's just, it deals with the trauma, and it deals with a lot of very, very serious issues, and I think it deals with them well. I think both of the characters have past issues that they have to deal with. The surprise villain of the show is incredible, and genuinely, it has one of the best... I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to say what scene. I cried my eyes out. The acting in all of these scenes, but especially the more dramatic scenes, is incredible, and I was just bawling. Legitimately, just because they did it so well. Honestly, it's one of the best... It's probably the best BL show I've ever seen, and it does it so well, and I think it's a good step in the right direction, because a lot of BL shows are very, very stereotypical, formulaic, and just, you know, not good. They get a little bit, like, iffy in the middle. This one is just absolutely incredible beginning to end. They kind of... And where you can watch it, it's available on Line TV with English subtitles. The links to that, you can just Google, and most people have made, like, just documents of all of the episodes. All the episodes are in 4-part, 4 links, because for some reason they divide them around the commercial breaks. Like most Thai shows. But you can find them. I might even... I made a Word document with all the links. I might tweet it. Follow us on Twitter.
Follow our Twitter, please.
I'll tweet out a link.
Okay. The next drama I wanted to talk about is the show I literally just finished watching, and it's the English translation, The Incomplete Life, or in Korean, Misang, which is a Go reference, and this is kind of what the main theme of it is all about: a failed professional Go player, or Baduk, which is like a board game with beads, if you've seen it before. That's really popular. It was invented in China. I love this show. It is a business drama, as you might be surprised so far.
Such a surprise.
Such a shock.
It's... The story is all built around this main character who does perfect. It's really relatable because he is a high school graduate who has nowhere else to go. He doesn't have any professional experience, and if you want to get anywhere in the Korean workforce and have a career, you're not getting anywhere. So it was really awesome to just see what it's like from the internship process to being hired to what it's like to be at a Korean office. So I've seen office dramas, and I've seen in the Western sense, and I've like worked and I've seen what work is in the Western sense. So it was really cool to see it from the more of a Eastern point of view, and specifically Korean. The whole point and why it's, for its namesake, Incomplete Life, is all about trying to work in a department where you're just a little man in a very big company, and you're trying not to lose your humanity along the way. It's kind of where the whole incomplete life is. And so they use the famous phrase "misang" to represent that. So it's great. It's all about every episode. This is a show that was 20 episodes long, but it felt like 10. It honestly could go on for another 20 episodes, and I wouldn't have known. It's just a really easy, light to watch. Every episode can hold on its own, but there is a very overarching story going along. So it's not like, I'm not saying you can just skip an episode, but it does treat each episode as like, this is the problem they're dealing with as like their current job. And it is a very mundane, like the problem of today's episode for an hour and a half or show is that someone didn't file the right paperwork and we need to figure it out, kind of a thing. But what makes it so compelling is that, oh my gosh, these actors can act, so it makes it good. And the relationships between and the chemistry between like work ethic and how you treat your boss and how you work in a big company and how you try your best and don't get any recognition because you're a low life or because you don't have a degree per se, it's really compelling, and it made it super fun and enjoyable to watch. So highly recommend it. It was directed by the same person who did My Mister. So again, another reason why I like this show so much. It's all about how to work hard, and if you're in like struggling in life with tough bosses and just mundane just jobs and stuff, I find it still fun because it's all about how to react and how people react to different things. So I took a lot out of it, honestly. Like it definitely showed me what it's like to live in that kind of environment, and it did teach me some things when it comes to like work ethics and how to treat your boss and stuff. So it was really good. I highly recommend it. It's got a very good, strong cast of just people working well together, and it did feel like a real life, like what you'd see from a real life office. So it was cool. I really enjoyed it. And you can watch this on Netflix. And Vicky, I don't think you two will have
Hearing you
any
describe
sense.
this makes me have zero desire to ever want to watch it.
The more
Yeah.
you describe it, the less I want to watch
I'm
it.
just like,
sorry.
Just
you
imagine
saying this
The
episode
Office
about
without
filing
the funny
paperwork. I'm like,
parts.
oh my god,
Oh my
like
God.
I couldn't.
Straight
I
up,
would
that's
work in an
literally an
office and
entire
not hate it.
episode. Yeah, I know, right? I'm not even kidding. It literally, the main plot point is someone didn't file the right paperwork, but how they made that compelling, it was compelling. I was just like when I think about it and say it out loud, you're just like, yep, that's what happened in that episode. But it was like one of the most compelling episodes because you're just like, do you do the right thing of like, it wasn't my fault, it was this person's fault, but do you take the blame? I could get fired because it's important and stuff like that. So it's like it's stuff like that. It makes it compelling. So I really enjoyed it. I took a lot of real life learning from it, so that's what I liked about it the most. I also really like the main character because I have a lot to relate with because I'm only a high school graduate without any like career or college aspirations. So it's kind of like, oh, we're kind of in the same boat. We both work our very like that's the thing. He didn't earn it on paper, but he earned it on like what he did because he went far beyond what any of the, I have a degree and all these years of experience would do. So that's what makes it go. And that's what was so like a lot of it was about like this guy works hard enough, but he's not getting recognition because he doesn't have a signed piece of paper saying he did all these things of schooling and experience. So it's really cool. So it's all about working hard and not losing your humanity along the way. So it was really compelling, and I highly recommend it to those that are, want to learn more about
Into
work
that kind of
in
thing.
the Eastern
Mm-hmm.
culture, because that work is very different there than it is here. You basically get hired on, and that's your job. Like you live there and you do things. And I know that's the same for Japan and China as well. It's all about what you can get on a piece of paper before going to an interview and internships, and then they have a lot more benefits than you or I in the U.S. and stuff. And it's frowned upon if you don't have a career at a company or something. You want to be a working man kind of a thing. Yeah, and balancing relationships as well, because a lot of them are married with kids, and seeing that interaction as well is interesting. So yeah, really realistic. Again, I like that realism intrigues me. And the director, he directed My Mister, was also very realistic and just going through life, and it's another life drama, so I like it. That's all I got to say.
Alright, so my next K-drama, coming off of the incredibly realistic life drama, we're going straight into the sci-fi genre.
Oh,
That's my
Sci-fi,
final genre.
sci-fi.
So this last one I'm talking about is Circle, Two Worlds Connected, and you're gonna have to give me a bit to explain this drama because there's 2.5 plot lines happening at all points in
It's a
time
sci-fi
during this
show.
drama.
I expect everything. It is
So-
everything happening all at once.
You gotta
So,
do
to
everything you
start
can.
off, in the year 2007, there are these 11-year-old twin boys, and their father is like a researcher, and they encounter the arrival of what they believe is a female, a humanoid-looking alien, and then there's not a whole much else happening at that time, other than they think they have found an alien. And then, so in 2017, 10 years later, twins are now university-age college students. One of them is studying neuroscience, and there is a series of suicides happening in his university that are somehow linked to his twin brother, his twin brother is sort of massively caught up in the search for aliens because they had this experience as children where their father sort of like found and took in like this female alien. That's what they believe. And so then he meets a computer science student who looks suspiciously the same as the alien they found as children.
Oh Lord!
And so they're just investigating what's happening with the suicides, and then it's sort of the two twin brothers are in conflict and everything there. And then there's another plot line taking place 20 years in the future, 2037, and now the world is in like a dystopian state where South Korea is divided into normal Earth and then smart Earth, and smart Earth is, I think, somewhere just floating in the sky, and it's meant to be this like utopian like crime-free city or something like that. And that follows this middle-aged detective who's coming from normal Earth to smart Earth to sort of investigate a series of murders over there. And then also what he's really doing is like they're investigating the case of like these missing twin brothers. Spoiler alert, the twins from the past that have gone missing.
2017.
And so he is sort of investigating this other weird streak of like crimes that are happening in the supposedly crime-free city there. And so there's a lot happening. It's called Two Worlds Connected because the 2017, where they're in college, and then the 2037 plotline are happening at the exact same time in the drama. Each episode is split in half, and half of it is set in 2017, and the other half is set in 2037.
Is it always like, is it like mix and match in between, or is it literally half and half?
It's literally half and half, so you get like 30 minutes, you get the first 30 minutes of like 2017, the last 30 minutes are in 2037.
Is half of the show more interesting than the other half, or is it equally compelling?
I think they're equally compelling.
The more you talk about this, Kayla, the more I want to watch it.
They will, they merge into one storyline at one point, like towards the end.
So.
Because that's
Does
like
it
the
come
whole
full
point.
circle? Badoon-tish.
That's the whole point, is that this two storylines are gonna merge.
Your puns, Dan.
I mean,
Puns.
That's literally what they plans. I can't blame them.
The more you talk about this, Kayla, the more I want to watch it.
The reason I like this...
It's the exact opposite of Dan's show.
The reason I like it so much is that it is the most unique K-drama I think I've ever watched before. Because...
Sounds amazing.
Sci-fi is not a genre that is very popular in K-dramas. And I think what's really well done about this...
They don't have the budget for a sci-fi show. That's the problem, I think.
The closest thing to a sci-fi show is, I think, My Love from the Star. And that's just a straight-up romance with one of the people who's supposedly an alien. And that's really...
But he looks fully human.
The extent of that one.
There you go.
This one, it has an alien. The alien is not the main...
also looks fully human.
Fully humanoid alien. That's not at all the main focal point of this story. I think it's really compelling because it's like it deals with like the concept of aliens because the one brother is like constantly searching for proof of it in a way. But I think they do it in a really good way where it's not like bizarre, where it's like this is a drama about aliens. That's like I really don't think that's how I would describe it at all. And the part that's taking place in the future I think is more of like a dystopian type like murder mystery crime drama more than it is like a sci-fi alien drama. Yeah. And it's so unique. It's the only K-drama, like there's only sci-fi K-drama I've ever seen. I haven't seen anything remotely close to the theme that this is doing. It's also like pretty scientific as well. It's which I also like because I work in science, and I think that's a really, really cool part about it too. Mm-hmm. It is a lot. If you're not good at following the complex plot lines, I wouldn't recommend it because there is a lot of things happening. Even just getting past the basic explanation of it is a bit hard, but it is...
I was going to say,
your basic
feels like
explanation that is like 3 paragraphs long.
Because there are 3 timelines just happening constantly.
And they have to cram into 12 episodes.
Yeah, it's a short drama. Also, I'm not really sure where you can watch this anymore because I watched it on Drama Fever when Drama Fever existed, and they don't exist
R.I.P.
anymore.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Drama
Good
Fever.
luck.
Guys, Google
It's your
it.
job,
We're
not
not
ours.
going to provide you links. Google it.
You can
You're already on the
you can
internet.
get it. You know you can
find it. Vicky, if you want to obtain the rights to that show, that sounds like a trip.
It's such a
Vicky,
good show.
yeah.
I love that show. It's such a good
Vicky
show.
has obtained the rights to almost everything that Drama Fever had,
Mm-hmm.
which it should.
I've again, Vicky worth every price right there. So,
It really
no,
is.
that's cool.
Like,
Yeah,
Vicky, I literally
Go ahead.
have a Vicky subscription, a Netflix subscription, and then there's a bunch of stuff on YouTube. There's a lot of Chinese dramas on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, it sounds really interesting, and I feel like there's really no way of explaining it because that's just the nature of the show. But
Yeah.
it does seem interesting. I love sci-fi. I like sci-fi more than fantasy because it attracts to me
difference?
more. I don't know what. There is a huge difference.
There's
I
a
don't
very
want to
big
get into that
difference, but
debate.
we're not going to start that.
No, we can't. We can't.
not
We're not-
This,
yeah, I
already,
can-
this
that's
episode's
a-
already
sci-fi.
running long. All right. And for your last drama, Sammy.
My last drama is Extraordinary You. It's a 2019 32 episode K-drama starring Kim Hae-yoon and Roan, also from SF9.
I love
We have-
them. I love
continue to
SF9.
just represent SF9.
Love them.
So the story revolves around Kim Hae-yoon's character, who is sort of in a very stereotypical high school, and then sort of begins to realize that the reason that her high school is so stereotypical is because she's actually in a manhwa. A very, very stereotypical manhwa. And she is not the main character of that manhwa. She is actually just a minor side character. And it sort of revolves around her newfound understanding about her world and how she's just gonna follow her heart and create her own plot line and not just be this side character to this very stereotypical boys over flowers rip-off manhwa. I really like the concept of this show. I thought it was really good. I like the characters. The cast is really young. The cast is all very new actors, but I think they did a really good job with it. And honestly, I do kind of like... I just think the concept is really fun. It's just sort of... It takes that super stereotypical plot line that we've been talking about and just sort of flips it on its head and is like, no, let's just call it out and just call it out for the actually kind of ridiculousness that it is. And you guys can watch the show on Viki. It's actually really good.
And Vicky Plus.
This has
Vicky
been on
Plus.
my watch list for a really, really long time. And so I haven't seen the drama yet, but I have read the manhwa. At least the English translations of it that are available, and it's really good. I know the drama deviates from that at some point because
yeah.
it's pretty short, the actual manhwa. So they have to
Yeah.
sort of make up an ending for it. But it was really good. I learned about it mainly because of Rowan was going to be the lead in it.
Yep.
But after I looked into the drama, it just
No
looked
shame.
really, really interesting, and so it's been on my list to watch for a long time.
Yeah, this show also has like a really, really good OST. It's just a really fun show. And I just think that
Nice.
like it's a good concept. It's a different concept.
I think
And yeah, it
that's
is Viki Plus, so you need a
Yeah.
subscription.
you need to up that cash, which I think it would be worth it. I don't have Vicky Plus because I haven't hit a show that I really wanted to watch. Plus, there's so many shows on there as it is. I haven't
So
hit
many.
that point. But
But,
this
like,
one
As with all
is
of
on
these
my
shows,
list to watch
if you
as
don't
well.
if it's only available on Viki and you don't have Viki, like I said with Circle, Google it.
Yep, there you go.
Not advocating illegal streaming, but also like,
Mm-mm.
I'm not your mother.
I'm not your mother. There you go. I am your mother. I think you should give money where you can, but
Again, I'm saying if
hey,
you're broke.
if it ain't available, I got you. I understand. I've been there. All right. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I think that show is really fun, really good. It's just sort of a very fun romp. It's got a very good love triangle. It's actually
all
one
right,
of the
I'm not
least
interested
less
anymore. Taking
annoying.
it off my
It's
list.
not really a love triangle. It's almost a
Okay.
forced love
It
triangle.
isn't,
It's a
yeah.
forced
No,
love
having read
triangle.
the manhwa, it is kind
It's
of
a forced love triangle, but it
triangle.
is there.
Because
And
it doesn't, the love triangle isn't really as prominent
She
in the
doesn't
manhwa
really
as I know it is in
yeah.
the drama.
She doesn't really sort of. She has a very clear preference.
Mm-hmm.
The writer of the manhwa has a different idea. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Shall we end
Yeah, I
this?
think this is.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's interesting. No, I'm definitely keep that in mind. And for my last drama, I'm gonna talk about Because This Is My First Life. It's written by the same person and directed by the same person who did Secretary Kim, which I know is super big
It's
with
so
a lot
good.
of people. It's hilarious. This is a comedy. I know, right? I actually watched a comedy, and I don't like comedies as often because sometimes it's just a bit exaggerated and it's not as funny, and I can't take it for what it is. But I watched this at a good time, and it was really fun. The main plot of the story is that there's a girl who is poor and she cannot seem to hold a job properly, and she's homeless and doesn't have a place to live. And there's a successful guy who put all of his money into buying a house, but he can't pay it off his mortgage, so he needs someone to rent. So we have a female who is homeless and a male who needs a tenant. So what do you think is gonna happen? Well,
They're gonna live
they
in
live in the
Santa's
same house, and they're like, "Hey, there's nothing romantic about this. We just both, need to live together." Of course, they didn't know that each other was the opposite gender at the time. They were like, "Oh yeah, my tenant, he's great." And then they bump into each other and they're like, "What are you doing here in my house?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I've been living here for like a week." And they're just like, "You have? Oh, this is awkward." And it's really funny. The whole main theme about it is actually marriage, which is, I think, really interesting because you get to see three different couples' point of view on marriage and how it sort of like forms the whole story. So they decide to live together, but they can't just live together. So they decide to get married out of convenience and through a contract, and not out of love. But we all know how that ends up at the end. So I'm not gonna spoil anything else. You can read the synopsis and figure that out. But there's three couples, two side couples, which I think are also just as strong as the main couple. But it's adorable. So it's all about what kind of marriage is about. It's all about friendship. It's hilarious. I mean, it sets itself up really well. It's very similar to My Secretary Kim from what I've seen. It seems like right up its alley. So if you like My Secretary Kim, you'll probably like this show.
Someone who watched What's Wrong with Secretary Kim, I'm intrigued. I'll put it that. I would watch this eventually.
Yeah.
This is the one I probably have the highest chance of watching out of all of the ones on your list, yeah.
No problem. I just had to pick the one that is different from all the other ones on my list. So
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Dan, your taste in dramas is very specific.
It's
And
very
I'm sure
specific.
someone out there appreciates it.
Well,
The two of
I
us
mean,
do
most of the shows that I've just named are 10 out of 10s on a lot of ratings, because,
Some people.
But then there's some people that are just like, I watch shows to have fun. I don't want to have to think.
The
and I
Untamed made
understand
me
that as
cry,
well.
Dan. Don't judge me.
I'm not... Oh, dude. So, like, if I could
bawled my eyes
summarize...
out to almost every single show on my list, because I am an emotional wreck.
I can summarize all of them in, like, a phrase. My Mister got me the most curious. Something in the Rain made me feel the most emotional. Like, I cried and got angry and felt every emotion you could think of. Just Between Lovers was the most encouraging. Incomplete Life was the most I don't know, like, I want to say like realistic, but just sort of like, I guess it's also like a persevering kind of show. And then this one made me laugh the most. It was just funny. It was the most like entertaining in the just from a comedy aspect. So that's pretty much a summary of all the shows I have. Yeah, it's kind of easy that way. But yeah, no, you can watch this on Viki or Netflix. I don't know if I said that, but yeah, I watched it on Viki, and then I watched later. I went to go look on Netflix or shows to watch, and I saw it there, and I'm like, oh, I could have watched it here. Oh well.
Kayla,
Yeah.
do you also like to summarize your shows in a very succinct way?
I don't know
per
how
one?
I summarize my shows though. Is the thing.
All right,
It's like
I got.
it's like Circle was by far the most unique show, and I think that I can extend that to say it's the most unique show I've watched like ever.
It sounds like the most unique show.
Yeah.
It sounds unique just from.
I'm curious.
Tunnel-
And that's coming
Tunnel's
from
by far
the
the
show
best
that
crime
has a
drama.
person from Unique in it as well in our lists here.
Tunnel is
Sorry.
Surprise.
good job with the puns
Hey,
there.
we all got unique.
Alright.
Doing good.
Thank you.
Because we have to shout out Unique as well.
Look,
As
unique
many
is just we
times as
shout out a
possible.
bunch of things on this podcast. We got
Mhm.
card, we got unique, and spoiler guys, we're
Lucy.
gonna start shouting out Lucy.
We stand Lucy.
We stand
Oh
Lucy
no!
on this
It
podcast.
starts here.
It
This
starts
is the first
here.
episode.
We starting it.
Starts
We're starting
guys,
it now.
look up Lucy's flower.
The most
it's the best.
unrelated point as well.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Anyway,
We love Lucy.
continuing. Tunnel is the best crime drama I've seen. As someone who watches a lot of crime dramas and like
Your
American
top tag
documentary
is literally
crime dramas,
is
I
literally
do
death.
like Tunnel a lot. The Bongsoon is definitely the best rom-com. I don't like rom-coms that often. They're not my like go-to genre or anything, but Strong Woman Do Bongsoon I like a lot. I think because it's a little bit untypical for a rom-com. I don't know how to describe Sky Castle. It's like a really good
Rich
melodrama.
people.
It's a good rich people drama because it's like it's not quite as ridiculous. It's a little bit more realistic, and I feel like you can empathize with the characters more in Sky Castle than I can in other rich people dramas. There's something that's more humanizing about them. They can be horrible people, they can be nice people, but there's also a lot of like human aspects to Sky Castle that I really like. And Sense of the Sun, I don't know. That's just like my like go-to like best K-drama almost because it's the only you see these K-dramas like all the time, these like romance ones that get all this hype and whatnot, like Goblin and other things like the Hotel Del Luna and all these other dramas, like these your basic like romance K-dramas that get all this big hype. And I've seen some of those, and this is Descendants of the Sun is truly the only one that's ever lived up to the amount of hype that it's gotten for me
Descendants
anyway.
of the Sun is one of the few K-dramas I've ever actually rewatched.
It's so good.
And for a K-drama,
Yeah, that's the
to
thing.
be-
You don't have
it's
time
It's
to
a
rewatch
staple.
a lot of
K-drama.
these.
This is like really Descendants of the Sun is
That's-
really like a staple K-drama.
everyone should sort of, if you're gonna start watching K-dramas, it's sort of become from probably the best, like the staple K-dramas. You got your Boys Over Flowers, which is, but it's a staple. It's there. It's whatever. And Descents of the Sun, it's just good. It shows you the heights a K-drama can reach.
I am watching it tonight, so that's kind of like I'm excited. I was already like ready to watch a new one because I just finished mine, so I'm excited to start watching it. And maybe next time we do a drama episode, I'll
You'll
give
have
you
watched it.
the take. I'll have watched it. Yep. Hopefully, we'll see.
All right. Then
I'll
my
have something to
shows-
say about it. There
Yep.
you go. And then your shows. What can you possibly say?
I will talk about the Untamed
All right.
forever.
And this is where we'll end our episode.
It legitimately, it made me laugh, it made me angry, it made me cry, it made me genuinely upset. I legitimately, when it ended, I legitimately did not know what to do with myself. I was just like,
Post-trauma depression. That is a thing.
It
that
is a real thing.
it's over.
It is a real thing. Especially since
What do
you
I do?
invest so much time into it, so you're just like,
50 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, no,
I could have
I
almost
think
become an amateur at something in 50 hours.
Yeah. My Mister, when I finished that, and Something in the Rain, I think those two are the worst for me. I literally just went through like post-drama depression where I was
Yep.
just like, I have no purpose to
Nope, I
entertain
kind
it
of just
anymore.
wanted to start rewatching it again, which
Yeah.
for a 50 episode show is probably not a good idea. but like it's
you invest so much time into something,
and with the 50 episode, like you fall in
and
love
emotion.
with these characters. They become sort of and it's beautifully done, and it sort of is a show that is just, it's a fantasy show. The world building is very good, and it actually makes sense within the world, and all the characters have a purpose and have a reason to be there, and you fall in love with them along the way. Everything that done has a reason, and it's just sort of a show, I would say, almost about the unfortunate thing of consequences, because this isn't just a show where random things happen. Everything that happens in that show is a consequence of something else that has happened. That's sort of it's almost a realistic consequence in this fantasy world. With Hello Mister, it is my favorite crime drama, and it's genuinely just, the characters are very compelling, and Dio is terrifying. Guys, just watch it for Dio. He's very good.
I need to maybe just go watch clips of Dio.
Just go watch clips of Dio in that show. He plays a good psycho. And then Go-Go Squid, it's just light and charming and fun. You have so much fun. The characters look like they're having fun. And Kayla, you know, the game is weird. It's about hacking.
Oh, it is a weird game.
The game that they play doesn't make any sense, but you don't care, because it's just, you're just excited for them to win.
Mm-hmm.
Competition.
That's a show to watch. How do I describe Tharn Type?
That's a show to watch.
That's a show to watch. Woo!
A show I don't want to
Dan
watch.
will never
This
watch
show
that
that Dan will never
I'll
watch.
never watch
Dan
it.
it will be easier to get Dan to watch a fantasy like The Untamed than to watch Tharn Type. But that show, it's very much a show to watch away from your parents. But also, there's just a genuine relationship there, and it's about growing, and it's about learning who you are, accepting who you are, and getting through your trauma. And just learning about the people that love and care and appreciate you. And Then Extraordinary You, it's probably my favorite show that takes place in high school. I think a lot of high school shows fall into tropes, and they fall into like these very repetitive tropes. They're all essential. At some point, they just all blur together. This one is unique, this one is fun, and the acting is actually good. Unlike a lot of high school shows.
Interesting. I've stayed away from the whole high school dramas in every sense, from Western to anime to
College dramas
anything
are better.
related to high school. I don't want to hear about. Like, who wants to relive high school? That's
College
like
dramas
the
are
worst
better.
part.
College dramas are better.
College dramas are very good.
They're a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about putting like 3 different college dramas on this
Circle
list.
is half a
Tharn Type-
college drama.
Tharn Type is a college
you go.
drama.
All right. Awesome. Any last words? What show are you watching right now?
I am currently I just finished, because it just finished airing today, the day that we're recording this, not the day it airs, Together, which is a Thai show. We're watching,
Okay.
all 3 of us
We
are
are
watching
watching.
Gank Your Heart.
Gank
We
Your
love it.
Heart.
Gank Your Heart.
I love it.
And right now, I'm in the middle of working on that C-drama episode, so I'm watching the currently airing Legends of Awakening.
I
you go.
started Love 020 not too long ago.
I'm trying to get everybody to
I
start
have low
watching
expectations
C-dramas.
I'll finish that in any type of a timely manner, but I've started it.
Maybe Kayla will finish it before I finish before I got my C-drama episode. 'Cause
Yeah, maybe I'll finish it by
I
then.
legitimately have 8 shows left on that.
There you go. And I plan on watching Descendants of the Sun.
Woo!
So, yeah,
Woo!
that'll be a fun one. So, I'm excited. Any last words?
No?
No,
I think
not
that
really.
we just had a lot of fun,
All right.
and just start watching some K-dramas, guys. They're just a short,
Absolutely.
fun watch.
Mhm.
Or C-dramas.
They're-
Or Thai dramas.
Yep.
I don't care what
Asian
language.
dramas. Big fan
Asian
of
dramas
Asian
as a
dramas
whole
in
are
general.
way more entertaining and way more...
Stop watching Riverdale. Start watching
Yeah, get
Descendants.
Oh my
rid of these
gosh.
gross like
Get-
Western like
Yeah,
dramas.
we like these. They have beginning, middles, and ends, and they don't play on your feelings of like, we're just gonna get you to watch the next episode so that we can get more ad revenue.
You will not need to invest 12 years of your life
to just get it canceled halfway through a season and then have it end horribly.
Oh my god,
none of that.
That's like
crap.
the epitome of like American dramas right there.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
No, I've invested a good long time into a show, and then it's just like, oh, by the way, you're canceled for another season.
Yeah,
So
it's bad.
you're just gonna have to close in the next 4 episodes, and I'm just like, ugh, what a waste of my time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, watch Asian dramas. They're overall better quality, better production, and I feel like
They have more
you will
complete
get
storylines for sure.
They do
more
have
complete storylines.
And eventually you'll get to the point where you're just going to start calling every
Only
character
watching
by
them.
their actor names.
Yeah.
Which is
Dang.
what I do because
And there is a lot of correlating actors.
Yep.
In the
Yeah.
few dramas I've seen,
You-
I think every single show I've seen has had another actor from another drama
it gets
that
worse
I've
in
watched,
C-dramas.
which is
'Cause
the
funny
casts are bigger.
because
Oh gosh.
I've had
legitimately, I've just started calling them all by the... Because, again, you're only going to watch them for 16 to 50 episodes. You're going to follow the
16
actor
to
through,
50
like, 7 more
episodes.
shows.
give or take a few there.
16 to 50. I could go
Yeah.
I've once watched a show that was 63. That's the
Dang.
longest I've gotten.
Well, thank you for listening. Feel free to follow us on any of our socials. They're linked everywhere because we're shameless like that. But this has been Dan and Sammy and Kayla.
What was?
You're supposed to say something.
I don't like. You
That's
just
fine.
said this has been Dan. What am I supposed? Like, what do
What do
you?
we say about
You didn't
that?
tell us
I
any
give up.
type of award.
Apparently,
say
food's
this.
downstairs and I'm hungry. What do you want me to do? Wave my hands? Hey guys, say something.
We just got.
Whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
Keep it all in. I don't care.
Keep this all
I'm
in.
scared. Oh, okay. It'll stay. It
All
can
right.
stay.
Whatever.
All right.
I'm done. It's been 2 hours. We're going.
Bye.
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 Bye.